Hello, this is Postdoc Chronicles week number 81, and I'll be doing this very quickly because I need to go back to school. But before anything else, let me feature this game on the Nintendo Switch called the 20XX. It's also available on the Steam, but basically this is a Mega Man X roguelike. So if you're familiar with Mega Man X, an action platforming game along the veins of the original Mega Man series, but this time with much modern graphics compared to the 8-bit NES Mega Man. This one is a 16-bit, and if you love that game, with a very pumpy music, very difficult boss fights, this is similar 20XX. It's very heavily inspired by that series. However, it injected a new mechanic which is roguelike. Okay, so basically when you say roguelike, it has a permadeath, and the stage is procedurally generated. So when you play Mega Man X, one of the things that make you good eventually as you play in the subsequent playthroughs is that eventually you get to familiarize yourselves with a stage. You memorize the pattern of the layout of the stage, the patterns of the different enemies, and so on. Here you can't use that skill. This one is like it really tests how you react into always with new situations, because every time you play, the stage layout is the same. Again, it's randomized. The boss fight will be different each time. So of course, when you say randomized, like it's not really randomized. You know what, they have like specific blocks of patterns or stuff that they mix in different ways, so that every time you play, it's a different beat. So it's very like the mechanic is very much similar to Binding of Isaac and Enter the Gungeon. Things like that. But in this case, took the procedural element and then paste it on a Mega Man X template, and so you have a very nice game with very the composer of this one who made the music. They really capture the spirit of Mega Man X, and each time you play, even though it's permadeath, every time you get this thing called a soul chip, so you have like some sort of progress because you can unlock different power-ups that will be available in the next subsequent playthrough. So this is a typical roguelike, a procedurally generated formula, whereas even though you every time you play you die and then you go back to the beginning, each playthrough there's like a some sort of meta progress, because every time you play again, there will be new power-ups that are available that were not available in your previous run. So that's how you progress in this game. So when I tried it for the first time on normal, so because I'm very used to the Mega Man series, Mega Man, the original Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, this one I tried it on normal. Like it took a while before I died, like the first time I played it. So I found it to be a bit easier, and I don't like that in a roguelike. I like my roguelike to be hard, because I want my character to keep on dying, so that I always get incremental availability of new upgrades. So I do a run, I want to die right away so that I can collect my soul chip, and then in the next run I have more upgrades available to me. And so what I did is I set it to the hardest level. I believe it's called Deviant. And then the nice thing is you can set some additional. They're called skulls. They're basically toggle switches where you can increase, for example, increase the difficulty of the enemy, make the stages longer, make it such that when you hit the spikes you die instantly. Just like classic Mega Man. Because here, when you hit the spike, it only subtracts when you're alive, or when you fall from a platform, you don't die directly. But if you want the classic Mega Man, you can toggle that switch and stuff. So it's really very nice. I haven't beaten it, but every time I play it, I always play it on Deviant, on the hardest difficulty. And because I also want to do it because so that way there are like I believe there's this guy named Hawk. There are like unlockable characters that only appears when you finish the game, and there's another unlockable character that is gated behind a condition where you have to beat the game in Deviant, and you have to have three toggle switches turned on. So that's what I keep on doing every time I play 20XX. I haven't beat it, but I've been having a blast so far. But anyway, let's go to Postdoc Chronicles. Not a lot to report this week. So like I mentioned last time, I just kept on playing with the Pythia 8.3 on the Athena analysis framework, because I got it working last time. I had a problem, making sure that the correct 8.3 is running instead of the 8.244. This time I have it running perfectly, and so I've been doing that Also, the thing that took most this week is, so I had Skype. I talked with Subhadip, my collaborator in the multi-hits paper, regarding the how we tackle the review that we got from the physical review D. Okay, and so one of the most important things that we need to do is this thing called the tenfold validation in BDT. So again, I've been doing BDT for the first time. The first time I heard it, I thought it was like a very difficult thing to do. It turns out it's very straightforward, because when you do BDT, so what you do is you have you have your background, and then you have your signal, mixed in a random way, and then you feed it in your boosted decision tree, and then what it does is you pick a certain percentage that it will treat as a training set, and then the rest it will treat as a testing set. Okay, and the thing is, so you have to scramble it. It picks that percentage randomly, and then you afterwards you get a ranking of the different hyperparameters, the different features that you think that BDT thinks could distinguish effectively between signal and background. So the problem is, I think in our initial paper we only did it until once, and in BDT you actually have to do a validation, whereby, so basically what you do in validation is you pick this same set of data, but then you scramble them in a different way, and then you apply the same BDT, and then the same BDT analysis, and then look at the again the ranking of the different hyper parameters, the different features you're considering. Okay, and then you say that your BDT analysis is robust if, after doing several variations of this mixing. So that's called the fold, how many folds you do, 5-fold, 10-fold validation. So after doing this different validations, then you should have at least very consistent results, because if it varies, for example, when you do a BDT on a single mixture of a set, and then it says that let's say feature A is the most important feature in distinguishing signal and background, and then when you do it again, when you mix them again, and then you do BDT again, now it will say feature B is the most important, and then when you do it a third time, it will say feature C is the most important. So every time you do it again randomly, and then it's different, then you have a bad BDT analysis. So you have to do it many times. So in this case 10, it's called a tenfold validation, so that you have to make sure that the hyperparameters, the features that are being chosen, is robust under this different validations. And so you need to calculate, for example, the variance of the different parameters that you're looking at, and you have to expect that the difference between them in the different sets of validations, the variance should be quite small. So that's like the main thing that the referee asks from us. So we'll be doing that tenfold validation. I don't know how we're gonna divide it. Maybe Subhadip would give me, the CSV, the data files that to be analyzed, and maybe he will do five-fold validation. I'm gonna do a five-fold validation. Like, we're gonna share different random number seeds that we're using, just to make sure that we won't be duplicating each other's result, and then we compare the resulting hyperparameters and see if whether or not it is really consistent. Okay, and another thing is, so now I have this colleague in the National Institute of Physics named Justin. So he's still doing his MS, and he really want to do some particle physics studies. So we're now doing a problem, but currently I want him to familiarize with the softwares. I want him to know how to set up these different softwares that we need. So he's now doing a Rivet, Pythia, and then Checkmate, just to making sure that he can create his, for example, his own analysis in Rivet, and then later on, because in his original what do you call this proposal, he wanted to do machine learning. So maybe we can apply the BDT thing, the ones that we're doing in multi-Higgs, we can apply it on the, because when we did our stealth paper, we didn't do any BDT, boosted decision tree. So maybe I was thinking Justin's MS problem could be, since he made a proposal on machine learning in the first place, then maybe we can tackle again stealth SUSI, but this time, instead of doing a cut-based analysis, we'll see what improvement we can have when we do BDT, machine learning. Okay, but anyway, that's it, guys, for Postdoc Chronicles week number 31. I hope in the first part of this video the audio wasn't wonky. There's something weird about my phone where the first few seconds the audio is weird, and then eventually it sounds fine. But anyway, maybe in the future I'll buy a high-tech microphone, but so far my phone is fine. So I'll see you next time. Thanks very much for watching, and bye bye.